We now move on to the presentation of the Charles Holmes Pettee Medal. And we turn our attention to a UNH faculty researcher and mentor who has dedicated himself to improving the lives of children and families around the world, David Finkelhor. And I'd like to start by introducing student Yahaira Mitchell-Smith, one of Professor Finkelhor's many outstanding students who will tell us about the Pettee Medal.
Good evening. My name is Yahaira Mitchell-Smith. I am a doctoral candidate in the sociology department, and it is an absolute pleasure to be here with you tonight. I am delighted to take part in celebrating the accomplishments of a great scholar, teacher, mentor, and citizen, Dr. David Finkelhor. Tonight, Dr. Finkelhor will be receiving the highest honor of the UNH Alumni Association, the Pettee Medal. The Pettee Medal is awarded annually to a resident or former resident of New Hampshire who has made outstanding contributions to the state, the nation, and the world. The medal is named for Charles Holmes Pettee, a professor and dean who served UNH for 62 years. The Pettee Medal was established in 1940 to recognize individuals whose lives and careers expressed the same unique devotion to service as did his. I understand that most of you are aware of Dr. Finkelhor's contribution to the body of knowledge concerning childhood victimization, and in particular, child sexual abuse. But what many of you may not know is that he brings that same level of dedication, professionalism, and selfless service to the development of the next generation of scholars, teachers, and mentors. I can think of no better legacy to leave behind than proficient, devoted professionals who will dedicate their lives and resources to carry out our own life's work. And Dr. Finkelhor is a walking testament to that philosophy. I can attest to this because I have been the recipient of Dr. Finkelhor's mentorship and can honestly say that he freely gives of himself. It is with great pleasure that I present to you Dr. David Finkelhor.
Well, I've known David for practically as long as I can remember. He was another one of the early people in this field, and there weren't very many of us, so it was incredibly exciting to meet somebody who cared about the problem of sexual abuse in children and was doing research in that area and kind of finding out for us that this was a very common problem, which was not really known.
His research is of exceedingly high quality, some of the best in the country and internationally. He's provided those of us who are working in the field a way of thinking of the problem and the intersection between various kinds of violence and how those affect children and families. It's that combination, I think, that makes him one of the stars in the field of child abuse and neglect.
Child abuse, child victimization is a messy social problem, and he was one of the major players in getting it on the radar screen, and now he's a major player in helping people see we've actually made a difference, and that's to his great credit. I just think David is, what you see is what you get in a very honest, genuine, thoughtful, smart way. He is warm, he's funny, he's fun, he's active, he's interesting. The guy travels all over the world all the time. He's always open to new experiences. I think he is, strives to be and lives a life of being a good citizen. Another thing about David that's kind of unusual is that he writes and sings songs. And there's not too many other people in our field who do that. In fact, there's nobody else.
Our program lowers child abuse by 93%.
Each year I've heard him present a song like that. He's not a great singer, but he certainly is willing to have fun, to show off his ability to write good lyrics, and of course to embarrass himself, because who would want to do that?
Revise and resubmit.
I consider him to be just one of the most important colleagues and friends I've had in the business.
He's one of the smartest people I know, and when you spend time with him, one of the great things about it is you learn something about the field that you didn't know and something about yourself as you think about the problems in collaboration with him. And it's magical to be with him. It's a special treat, and I always love hearing him speak.
What a fantastic video. David truly demonstrates the qualities recognized by the Pettee Medal. Many of you know David for his research on the mistreatment of children and issues of family violence. He is the director of the Crimes Against Children Research Center, co-director of the Family Research Laboratory, and professor of sociology at UNH. However, the impact of David's research extends far beyond Durham to the global community, where it informs and helps social workers, pediatricians, teachers, police officers, and many others to develop efforts that fight the abuse and exploitation of children. These programs and policies are highly regarded and extremely effective because they are based on decades of painstaking research that David has led and conducted. On behalf of the entire UNH family and children and families everywhere, thank you, David. I now invite Sally Ward, a professor of sociology and senior fellow at the Carsey School of Public Policy, to tell you a bit more about David.
Thank you. Well, good evening. Of course, the problem with going forth is that all of the things that are my thunder have already been said, but I'll repeat some, but there might be a few things in my comments that are unique. So it's a great honor to share a few thoughts with you about David. David Finkelhor and I have been colleagues for many years. I won't say exactly how many, but just to date it a little bit, when I came to UNH 2 years after David had received his PhD from the Department of Sociology at UNH. So I can't claim any credit for how wonderful he is as a scholar, at least in terms of the training he got. So that just sort of dates us. So we go back a long way. And I think it's entirely fitting and wonderful that he's being awarded the Pettee Medal. So one can count his accomplishments as a measure of the importance of his work. Articles, books, chapters, op-ed pieces, grants awarded. He's been enormously productive by the numbers. But numbers alone do not capture the full measure of this man and his contributions. While much research in sociology and other disciplines has dwelt on juvenile delinquency, David has led a paradigm shift to focus not on crimes by juveniles, but crimes against children. And as you know, he developed the Crimes Against Children Research Center at UNH, which, fittingly enough, was supported by grants that Senator Judd Gregg, another Pettee Medal awardee, was instrumental in securing, and they were great partners in that development. So David has helped us to understand the extent of victimization of children, and he's developed a holistic approach to studying crimes against children. The measure of this man, then, is not just the volume of his publications, which is vast, but in addition, the ways in which he has shaped and developed the fields of research on family violence and child victimization. Now, many scholars are content to talk to each other through conference presentations, publications, author meets critic sessions, and the like. And of course, David disseminates his work in these traditional ways. But what's more, he places great value on communicating his work to the public. Why? Because he wants his work to have an impact and to have the effect of decreasing child victimization, exploitation, and abuse, and to give voice to those who lack the power and voice to speak for themselves. And he's been enormously successful in this regard as well. Here we come closer to the true measure of this man and why the Pettee Medal is such a fitting acknowledgement. David is tireless in getting the word out. I like to tell a personal story about that, which is my mother-in-law, when she was still with us, would call me from time to time and say, "Sally, dear, I read about your colleague at UNH in the Washington Post again today, and it was always David that she was calling me about. So in addition to that personal story, you aren't likely to find someone in the field of child protection or in the policy circles that deal with child well-being who has not been influenced by David's work. We can count the number of his publications and awards, but we can't count with precision the number of children's lives that have been affected by his work. It's enormous. Children are better off here and nationwide, and I would say globally, because of David's work, and that's a true, meaningful, and deep accomplishment. So some final comments that speak to David as a person rather than as a scholar. What he studies is very difficult stuff. Sexual exploitation of children, marital rape, abuse and neglect of the most vulnerable among us. We all know from recent events how distressing and difficult it is to look at such things in the wide open light of day, not to mention researching them in depth. This could turn someone into a very cynical and negative person. Not David. He is positive, enthusiastic, and generous. He loves what he does, and it shows. Given all that he has accomplished, it would also be easy to see how he could become somewhat cocky or even arrogant. He is, in fact, the opposite. He's humble, which others have commented this evening. He's genuine, and he's curious. Always, always curious. And he shares his enthusiasm with others. This is where I thought I was going to surprise you, but my thunder has been stolen. He's also entertaining. You wouldn't know from reading his resume that he composes, well, you know now, he composes and performs songs for various of his professional audiences. It's always a highlight of the Family Violence Conference that he organizes and hosts. You didn't know this. He is the one who writes and shares a limerick at the Sociology Department holiday gathering every year. And rumor has it, this might not be true, but you'll correct me if I'm wrong, David, but rumor has it that he plays the accordion. Now, how many people do you know who do that? And finally, I would say he's a devoted father, and his face just lights up when he talks about his son, Misha, who's here tonight. So, in conclusion, he's not only an amazing scholar, but he's also a very remarkable man, and it's one of the privileges of my professional life that I've known David as a colleague and a friend. He's a perfect recipient of the award we are celebrating tonight. And I would just add that given all of his accomplishments, you wouldn't think, well, he's going to be teaching the freshmen and sophomores at UNH, but he does. He still teaches those lower level courses to students at UNH, and they're very lucky to have him. And as some of his students might say, or maybe text, they would say, it put in words what I've just said, they would go, yo, dude, you're awesome.
And now for the presentation of the Pettee Medal. Please welcome Bob McGrath, class of 1996, president of the Alumni Association Board of Directors, and Martha Byam, class of 1975, chair of the Alumni Association Pettee Medal Committee.
Thank you, Debbie. Tonight we are honored to add David Finkelhor to the list of distinguished recipients that have received the Pettee Medal since it was awarded in 1941.
David Finkelhor, would you please come forward to receive your award? One little sentence and it's yours. You're getting a standing ovation. As a social worker, I thank you too. On behalf of the UNH Alumni Association, and indeed the entire University of New Hampshire community, we thank you. And we are proud to bestow on you the Charles Holm Pettee Medal for your extraordinary service to New Hampshire and the nation. It's all yours. Congratulations.
Once there just was silence about all childhood violence, just like a punching bag. Kids were whooped, caned, and beaten, but nobody was treating it as anything to flag. But along came social science to validate this violence and study up this strife. Proven beaten and badness lead to sauce, sin and sadness that can linger late in life. What's more, it wasn't strangers who posed the greatest dangers to bully or molest, but the fathers and mothers and the boyfriends and the brothers, yes, the buds who knew them best. They'd say that all this whelpin' was really meant as helpin' to escape a greater curse. But this framin' was shamin', and that same blame disclaimin' only made the sufferin' worse. These clues about abuse all helped to spark a children's rights crusade and helped survivors get a bit of aid and helped all kids feel less afraid. So, here I am at dinner, the Pettee Medal winner, and doused with all this praise, proving with brute reliance on astute social science, a life in crime still pays. And honored as I must be, it really wasn't just me who prompted all this prose. I had boosters and backers and some cracker jack slackers as my buddies and my bros. They've been my loyal teammates, my creamy de la cream mates in everything I do. If there's been any glory, they are most of the story. They deserve a medal too. So yay for UNA. You know, we've got the news about abuse. We've got these crews of slews producing truths. And to the north, we've views of moose. So thank you, all my buddies who helped in all the studies. And thank you, all my crew, for your rare flair for caring and your daring and sharing. I owe it all to you. Yes, your rare flair for caring and your daring and your sharing, I owe so much to you. I want to call out a few of my colleagues who are here tonight. Thank you. Thank you. You can see I'm not going to be teaching any performance courses soon here. But I'd like some of my colleagues who really have been so important in all the work that I do to stand up and just get a little bit of acknowledgement too. Kim Mitchell, Lisa Jones, I can't see you, but I know you're out there. Wendy Walsh, Janice Wallach, Doreen Cole, Toby Ball, Dick Ormrod, Corinna Tucker, and Unfortunately, several of them are missing tonight. Heather Turner, Ann Shattuck, and Sherry Hamby, all just crucial people. I hope you recognize the tune to my wonderful song, If I Only Had a Brain, the anthem of the American Association of University Professors. Just kidding. Wizard of Oz, yes. And if you get a chance tonight, and you can go back and see the YouTube clip of Ray Bolger, it's just priceless. For those of you who grew up with that, it's worth seeing. Anyways, this has been really an overwhelming evening for me. I'm just in gratitude overdrive mode, really. I just can't tell you how honored I feel, and everybody who said such nice things about me. As I said when I was listening to this, I want to get to know that guy, whoever he is. But I do want to just talk about a couple other members of my team. I want to talk about my wife, Christine, who is my hero in our family. She's a psychotherapist who works with couples and families, trauma survivors, and people suffering terrible losses and miserable histories. And she really helps people. I may have fancy ideas that are fun to enjoy in the library or on the loo, but she is the one who actually helps, and I'm so grateful for that work she does. I also want to appreciate my son, Misha, who's interrupted his college semester to come here. I'm very grateful for his presence. He has taught me some of the most important things that I know about children and youth. He's been so open and sharing with me about his experience of growing up, given me tremendous respect for young people, and is a real antidote to all the anxiety and gloom that you hear from so many folks today about childhood and children these days, a phenomenon I call juvenoia, which I think is really overdone. And then I want to thank Murray Strauss. Murray, I think you're out there, who preceded me in this award. Really, Murray, he really taught me how to become a social scientist. I've been so lucky to have him as a close colleague and sounding board for 40 years. He's inspiration about having an open mind, following the evidence, building a community of scholars. He's just an all-around Hall of Fame academic who's attracted dozens and dozens of people to the university, including me, to study over the years. Really, Murray, if there's been any glory, we owe it all to you, really. Thank you so much. I want to thank my assistant, Doreen Cole. She has a zeal for organization and detail that has saved my life on so many occasions. She's so kind, so friendly, so good-humored, and is the heart of the great collegial atmosphere we have in our center. And thank you so much, Doreen. And finally, just the University of New Hampshire itself. What a fabulously supportive environment it has been for me, from department chairs, deans, provosts, presidents, people at all levels. The Human Subjects Committee has done unbelievable things to help further my career, for example. I've gotten space and offices and political connections and appointments and awards and just encouragement from all kinds of people. And I think we do have the best collection of scholars in the country doing cutting work on violence, sexual assault, and abuse. It's a very special place, and a lot of people have helped make that happen. So I really see this award as being really about that. Finally, I don't want to keep you from getting to your homes. It's late, but I'm going to beg your indulgence and time for one more favor in the spirit of our research ambition and topic here, and I hope this doesn't turn out to be a complete fiasco, but I would like to get everyone up and sing with me one of my favorite songs, something I regard as the anthem of our violence prevention field. I think, though, many of you will know it. It's called I Ain't Gonna Study War No More. It celebrates the day when all of us violence researchers can finally retire. And it goes, I'm going to lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, ain't going to study war no more, ain't going to study war no more, ain't going to study war no more, ain't going to study war no more. And the second verse is, I'm going to shake hands around the world. So we'll just do those two verses. Let me see if I can keep us going on this. So once you get up, it's time to get a little... Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war, no study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Okay, shake hands around the world. I'm gonna shake hands around the world, bum bum, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, bum, down by the riverside. I'm gonna shake hands around the world, bum bum, down by the riverside. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war, no study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war, no study war no more. Okay, yay! Thank you very much. Thank you.